All right, let's take stock of today's numbers. U.S. equities, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closing down about 13 points today. That's 0.1%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up nearly 2% year to date. Let's tell you about the S&P 500 closing up a little bit. So far this year, the S&P 500 up nearly 3%. The NASDAQ moving higher today by 0.3%. It's up 4% this year. Big board volume, nearly 760 million shares changing hands. That's a decline in volume of about 10%. That's 1,600 stocks advancing while 1,300 stocks decline. Now, a look at the U.S. bond market. The 10-year bond yield dropping to 1.9%. If you loan your money to the U.S. government for 30 years, well, they'll only give you 2.96%. All right, let's take a look at currencies. The euro weakening to a 16th-month low against the U.S. dollar today, falling more than 0.5%, 127 against the dollar. Let's take a look at the dollar versus the yen, and the dollar climbing against the Canadian dollar, the loonie. Oil futures, let me tell you about them. They fell more than 1%, $101 for a barrel of crude. And natural gas, the big story in energy, tumbling nearly 6%, $2.77 per million BTU. Let's find out more about what happened in today's stock trading. Let's go to Deborah Kostroun at the New York Stock Exchange.
Thanks a lot, Pimm. Yeah, stocks sputtering most of the day, but then by the close, we did kind of pull out of the doldrums here, at least for the S&P and the NASDAQ. The S&P, of course, hitting that 5-month high on Tuesday, and with today's gains, they were ever so slight, but we did maintain that. Now, banks and tech stocks helping the market to recover off the lows. Rockdale Securities analyst Dick Beauvais saying that bank shares could easily triple in 5 years, so that's certainly helping out the financials. Also, remember, J.P. Morgan releases their earnings on Friday. This is the second company in the Dow Jones Industrial Average to be releasing those fourth quarter results. And the Fed says, of course, we had the Beige Book today, that we closed out 2011 on a strong note across most of the country while hiring was limited. Also, they said housing remained stagnant, but the economy expanded on increased holiday sales, also demand for services, and also oil and gas exploration and extraction from everywhere from Texas to Pennsylvania to North Dakota, where all that fracking has increased the land values. And also, it has created jobs in otherwise depressed communities. Now, getting back to those earnings, what we are expecting, those earnings, they have beat expectations for 11 straight quarters, and we do have projections for the fourth quarter for a 6% growth. That would mark the slowest increase since the third quarter of 2009. That is a wrap from here at the New York Stock Exchange. Pimm, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Deborah Kostroun.